Hi everyone, once again, I'm Daniel Ivanovich, a computer engineering major at Columbia University School of Engineering. In this video, I'm going to discuss some of the extracurricular activities that I took part in during high school and how they were incorporated into my application, either in the Common App activities section or in my essays themselves. In this video, I hope to show you that selling your extracurriculars may be more powerful than you think. In my case, I think that my inclusion of extracurriculars into my application was the single most effective part of my application, especially in helping me stand out and make my way into the most selective class in the school's history. When you start thinking about your application to a specific school, or even when you just start thinking about incorporating your extracurriculars into your Common App, I recommend looking into the schools that you're applying to and trying to figure out what it is that they're looking for in their applicants. And although this may seem like a very hard question to answer, a lot of schools actually have several websites dedicated to just this information. For example, Columbia's engineering school has a central vision of engineering for humanity, an idea that boils down essentially to interdisciplinary or well-rounded engineers working together for a common good. I kept this guiding principle in mind as I was choosing which extracurriculars I would include in my application, not only in deciding which ones would go into my Common App activities section, but also keeping in mind how important every activity was to me throughout high school. So to me, my membership in my high school's robotics club was the best part of high school. I joined the club in the first week of my freshman year because I'd always been interested in robotics, and I heard that it was open and you did not need any prior experience to join. I ended up staying in that club for all 4 years of high school, ultimately becoming the chief software officer and later the co-team leader of the team. And our team competed in the International First Tech Challenge, but I should probably point out that our team was not in any way really good. We were not national champions. We weren't even like the best in our state. It was just something that we did for fun and we tried our best at and really were passionate about. And I would usually put in maybe 10 to 15 hours of work in a usual week for the club. And because of its importance to me, the robotics was not only at the very top of my Common App activities list, all the way up there at number 1, but it also was the subject of one of my Columbia supplements where I wrote about how the robotics club helped me realize that I wanted to pursue engineering and more specifically computer engineering in college. I had several other STEM-focused activities in my Common App, especially in the activities section. For example, I had the membership in my school's computer science club as one of those activities. But I also want to make sure that I highlighted extracurriculars that had nothing to do with my major or with STEM as a whole, again, keeping in mind the interdisciplinary nature of engineering for humanity. So for example, the third activity on my Common App was my school's ski racing team, which I was a part of for all 4 years of high school, and I ended up being the captain of the varsity team. For the most part, these activities ended up being sports. Club soccer and varsity cross country and track were also on my list of activities. But I also discussed volunteering work which I had done with my AP US history class and work that I had done with my high school's UNICEF club, which I didn't manage to fit into my activities section, but I ended up discussing them in other parts of my application, such as in my essays. Ultimately, I didn't really choose any of my high school activities with college in mind. Throughout high school, I just tried a lot of things, saw what I liked, saw what I really became passionate about, and then just stuck with them. And I ultimately only assembled them and looked and analyzed them as a cohesive list of activities when I was beginning to do my college application process. I usually found out about these activities through fairs, bulletin boards, or just daily morning announcements, then just showed up and gave them a try and see if I found them interesting. So don't be afraid to try lots of things and only stick with the ones that you end up enjoying the most. Sometimes being picky with the things you do will actually be the best way of figuring out what it is that you really like. The aforementioned concept of engineering for humanity, the vision of Columbia Engineering, played an important role in deciding which activities I highlighted in my application. One of the things I tried to do to emphasize the whole well-roundedness / interdisciplinary portion of that vision was to try and keep a roughly 50-50 distribution on my Common App activities section of STEM or major-related activities and non-STEM and non-major related activities. So I also had a fairly well-rounded schedule throughout high school, being sure to take a lot of humanities classes such as AP US History, AP Spanish, and AP Lang, in addition to my more STEM or computer science courses that I took throughout high school. More importantly, I put particular emphasis on extracurriculars that highlighted my pursuit of my passion for programming and computer engineering and computer science and robotics in a way that made an impact on my community, as they would align with that whole engineering for humanity vision better than just other activities would have. These were the activities that I would go into really detail in, especially in my essays or in the additional information section if I couldn't fit them into one of the essay topics. So, for example, in the summer before my sophomore year of high school, my friend and I made a web app that lets students enter their schedules into a website and be matched with different people in different classes to essentially see which of their friends were in which of their classes before the school year started. And we maintain and host this project at our own expense to this day. And ultimately, I decided not to include this into the Common App activities section because it doesn't really fit a more traditional activity in the sense of how irregularly we worked, and it wasn't like a every week thing like the robotics club was. But I did write an entire supplement about it for Columbia. And to make sure I really highlighted its connections to Columbia's engineering's values of engineering for humanity, I was sure to include lots of details about specifically its impact on my school community, because that would tie in really well with what I knew they were looking for. Another activity that really helped me sell myself as software that would analyze town electricity and water usage data, detect major sources of energy waste, and strategies to conserve resources. And I initially started doing this as a volunteering effort, but eventually they made a payroll and I got added to it, and this became a part-time job that continued throughout high school. I did this for about 3.5 years. This was definitely a very unique activity. I don't know of many other programs like this, so this may not be super helpful for you, but it was definitely one of the heaviest hitters of my application. There was a lot of prior knowledge required to do something like this, obviously, and it was a pretty long process to even get involved with this and get access to the data I needed to do work like that. But it was definitely one of the most rewarding experiences of my high school career, if not the most rewarding. And although I didn't devote any essays to this, I did put this as the second activity in my Common App activities list, really high up there. And I elaborated really heavily, basically writing a mini essay about it in the additional information section of my Common application. And I think that this work tied into Columbia's interdisciplinary engineering for humanity values really well. And once again, I guess to be repetitive, really helped me sell myself along the values that I knew the school was looking for. The last example which I'll include was my high school's Computer Fusion Club. And this, again, was also a pretty unique activity, being a club in which I started in the freshman year and I continued throughout all 4 years of high school, ultimately becoming the president. The Computer Fusion Club would collect donated computers from really all around the Massachusetts, not just within our town. And we would use different organizations to help us collect donated computers. And then we would take them apart, kind of analyze their specs and determine if they needed to be repaired, upgraded, or scrapped. And once we had certain computers up to a certain standard, we donated them through an organization called the World Computer Exchange to help build computer labs in developing countries. And I think that this activity tied into engineering for humanity really well. I think it really helped show that how I connected quite literally my major of computer engineering to an impactful pursuit of that passion, exactly the kind of thing I then realized they would be looking for. But again, I did not start this club with Columbia engineering in mind. I did because it was something that I found fun. Overall, I think that these activities helped me because they were pursuits of computer engineering, my intended major, that were also impactful to some community, whether it be a local community or a faraway community in the sense of the Computer Fusion Club. And something that really helped me sell myself along the school's values and be successful. I wouldn't say I recommend any activities that I had done in particular because they were just things that I liked, so obviously they're very specific to me. And it will obviously vary by the person of what you like. But I would say to try a lot of things and figure out what you're passionate in, and then pursue that and really see what you can do and see if there's a way that you can make your pursuit of that passion impactful. Try lots of things and maybe you'll find out that you are found something that you're so passionate about that you're willing to study it in college or continue doing it in college and beyond. In college, I definitely do way fewer activities than I did in high school, but I've continued working with a robotics club. And just like in high school, I heard about it through their advertising and joined for the fun of it, and I hope to work in robotics post-graduation. So really an activity that I showed up with the freshman year of my high school just for fun really directed me down this long path to something that I want to work in post-graduation. All things considered, I think the main thing that can be learned from this lesson is to do your research into the schools you're applying to. Do your best to find out what it is that they're looking for in successful applicants. Then be sure to highlight those parts of your background in your activities section and essays when applicable. I'd recommend tweaking or even heavily modifying your activities sections for different schools with different sets of values, maybe even making different ones for every individual school, and focusing on your applications to each school individually as opposed to your applications as making one application that will work for all your schools, because ultimately they all have different values. The infamous "Why This School" essay could actually be a great place to recap the work you've done in high school that really ties into this school's values, and then as well as how those values would make that place a great community to continue pursuing such things in college and beyond. By choosing to put more emphasis on the sorts of activities that lined up with Columbia's values, I was able to help myself stand out from the crowd and demonstrate that I was a good fit for the community that the school was looking for. And although everyone will do different activities throughout high school, I really recommend taking the time to sit down, write out all your activities, look at what your desired schools are looking for in their applicants, and see which activities help highlight the best sides of you to sell yourself along those lines. Thank you for watching, and I hope that this was helpful to your college application journey.